All right. Welcome to the Foundational Infrastructure Working Group meeting for the 21st of December. Do we have a meeting next week or no?
I would think not.
No.
I think it was also removed from the calendar by Chris.
The good sign there's not one.
Yes, it has been cancelled.
All right. No update on this in the last week. It's pretty much a copy paste of the other structures, though. I'm inclined to just merge it with one review. Like, I don't think we're going to get a lot of detailed feedback on this because it's just like it's a thing. Maybe as we start integrating it, we'll find some things that need to be changed, but for now, seems pretty
Yeah,
harmless.
it's tested locally also, and Matthias is out sick for the last 1 or 2 weeks, so no update from his side. But yeah, it was working fine.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Confusing. It's the only branch. Not anymore, I guess. All right. Waiting for changes open for contribution stuff. This is, remember this one, Azure P2 disks. I'm guessing if Long only asked him to squash the commits and he did that, there is only one commit. It's probably good to go. Master branch is probably what we use there. And this means we need to cut a new version of this probably. Or is this? Yeah, probably. Leave that open as a reminder myself to try to click that pipeline. Everything disappeared out from under me. Disaster recovery docs, Behan just approved a minute ago. This is
Took all the nice changes requested by Behan. Thanks, Behan, for the detailed review.
All right. It's merging everything today. And that should automatically get deployed in the next few minutes.
Nice, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. This is metrics for deploy config. Right. I think we talked about this last week.
Felix, I think you need to retrigger the review so that I can also give you the... Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, I already reviewed it, so I just gave it a check.
And, oh, yeah. I was supposed to review this one. Anybody anything with this in the last week? Ramon was responsible.
No, I'm not.
No, he wasn't. He was just saying we should use this, which is true. Okay. All those negligent people over there, get on that one. And this is the big internal change. Is this, let's see. Looks like Benjamin hasn't had a chance to do anything with it yet, so we'll just set it down for now. Or leave it be for now, I guess. And the Cloud Stack support.
Yeah, they changed it from the library change. I'm not sure, but they're using a new storage. They separated it, so maybe there is some new. I don't know. It was
Yeah,
just something that I said could potentially break stuff, but
probably just a sign that we need to enable auto bumping on the repo.
yeah.
Probably added that, and this was just like goes like, yeah, let's update that too. Probably dependency.
But this was just a mention. It's not breaking my review or something.
Yeah. Okay. So we're still waiting for reviews on this, looks like.
For someone else, I can accept it now.
I haven't looked because it is 450 files.
Yeah, it's only vendor.
Yeah.
I'm
guessing.
I will just say
If it's
okay.
not touching any other CPIs, like I'm fine
No,
with one review on Cloud
it's only about the bumps of the Go dependencies that I was like. I will just say review and approve.
All right. Is this pipeline auto release?
Yes.
All right.
So just merge and go.
All right.
Are you doing like an end of year cleaning?
That's right. Got to get it out. No, nothing's allowed to carry over except in the done column, which will fill
Yeah,
up.
it's also great, right? Like merge all that stuff just before the holidays.
What could go
right?
wrong?
Yeah, what could go wrong? Yes. Nobody's gonna get
I'm
paid
sure
for
we'll
any of
all be
this.
available. Look, you can always pen back. So these are new ones now.
This is what
different
we discussed
settings.
last week.
Oh,
This is yeah, exactly. So I adapted the suggestions to rename it to tags and added the unit tests for that. But this one depends on also the Bosch utils
right.
PR.
Okay. So does that one, so after that one's done, this will need to get, well, I guess the base, it should auto bump the Bosch utils, I think on a weekend or something once that one gets in. And then this, I guess, will just be, does this one need to change once that one's merged?
No, if once it's bumped, then this can also be merged.
Okay.
So if it's used as the newest Bosch utils, then it can be merged as well. So, but it's ready for review.
All right.
Probably it's
Like,
failing because of the dependencies.
that makes sense. Yeah. It's like, this isn't the right call to make. And this is that. it helps too when we discuss everything I have to deal with like in depth the previous week. Get to go a lot faster. And this one, last week we talked about not looking at this one for now. Is that still the thought, or do you want to move forward with the snapshotting? I guess, what is the latest update, Ruben, from the FIPS world?
Yeah, I think it's more relevant now, right? Because of the fact that not that we will have to ship our own internal one. So like having a more
the problem is still they don't do it for FIPS. So this is only relevant for our current builds. It also doesn't break anything at the moment if we merge this. It will just when you build it from a tag, it will then select the date from the tag that is when the tag was created, which is normally like 2-3 hours after the Ubuntu base OS images has been built. As I didn't want to make stuff more complicated and put date stamps when the OS image was being pulling the apt repositories.
I wonder if we should if we could like store a timestamp at the start of the build and then make a commit at the end where the tag goes.
Yeah, the problem is that you will get. I wanted to avoid to put another file with date stamps in it, because we already have like the MetaLink stuff that's already been in there, and that was already really annoying when I wanted to refactor the CI.
That's easy. Just put it in the Git metadata instead of a file. That'll be easy to find.
I don't know. Like I'm with Joseph on this one. Like I think it's better to bump a file at the beginning, have a commit, and then have that go through the build instead of trying to do it after the fact. That's more in line with how we're doing other places.
It's just that like the tag will always be made after it succeeds. So it will first do an apt-get update, then that will the build OS image, then it will make the specific IaaS image, and after that it will tag it.
Yeah, but you always have
that 3 hour
exact.
date snapshot is then used, and the snapshots are made late 1-2 times a day anyways. So,
but if you're gonna deal with snapshots, why not like have it be exact, right? So you put a snapshot in code and then build it, so that you know that if you rebuild it, that you use the same snapshot.
More fucking crappy more useless, crappy information in the repo. We already have enough useless. If I pull it, I see like there are like 200 commits of like useless information that we have.
No, that's community activity. It's great.
That's not community activity. That's the CI bots doing their thing.
They're taking over.
Yeah. They're having nice conversations among themselves, those bots. I don't know.
I mean, we could, if we didn't want to do it at the beginning, we could do it at the end. That way, maybe on publish or something like. No, means we're gonna have to.
That doesn't change this. Then this would be a better approach, as this will get the tag is actually created like after the IaaS has been built, and when the aggregate step has been. So even if it's not published, you can still check out the tag and build it, and it will use that timestamp of when the tag is created.
Right, but it would mean you can't use the tag, because if we want to eliminate this like gap so that it is actually guaranteed to be the same, we could tag it at the end, create this timestamp at the end, but generate the timestamp at the beginning. We're going to like pass it along as some sort of resource, and then at the end be like, oh, successful build. This is a good one. All right, make a commit, tag that commit, and put this timestamp in there so that it can be used in a file or in the Git metadata. So it means we have more stuff to pass along the pipeline, but we don't want to make, a commit every few hours.
The problem is still when you press the OS image button and when you press the release, it could be 8 day between them.
8 days. But if you're passing that thing as a resource through that timestamp, in fact, you can just use this with Concourse. When the build starts, you can just put to a time resource, pass that through, and that will then ensure that that exact timestamp is available at the end.
Okay, yeah, that would be maybe we can do.
We normally use those time resources as sort of a trigger to make sure that pipeline doesn't stop. But like this way, you actually could, hey, we actually want this timestamp, and then you could use that as part of the building too, and make it sort of an optional input.
Could be.
All right, I think I just added myself as a reviewer, but we'll add some other folks too.
I'm happy to take a look at it in the new year.
Yeah, and it's still not really relevant for FIPS, so it's just...
Well, it might be in the near future.
I don't think they're going to do this soon, but...
They are working on it. It's just on, like, it is on their roadmap for the upcoming release, but it could also like be pulled out of the release if they, I don't know.
And at the very least, it's at least better because we're at least guaranteeing the other packages are the same. So there's less drift between when the vendors build the FIP stem cell versus the base stem cell. But yeah, it'd be much better if the FIP stuff was in there, and also, the syslog stuff and whatnot. But we don't really have a good solution to that yet.
Build it from source.
Maybe. Their app repo certainly isn't going to help us. Somebody should have put that in pending review. All right, and this feels like something from Long. His description could be better. But basically, he is building a variant with a whole bunch of, what is that? Oh, these are tests. GPU spec. Oh, it's probably a copy paste of another spec. I don't actually see what packages he's including. I'm sure that's somewhere in here. These probably. Yeah. Bunch of stuff. So I don't think there's any intent right now to build this in the open source. But at least make it available for Linux SimCell Builder for now. I think all of our work's very MVP oriented. There was an attempt to add all of this after the fact during like Bosch compile phase. And it turns out all the packages you need to install just are too big for the root disk. So you just can't install this many app packages later. So I think part of this probably is for that variant, it increases the size of the root disk of the base OS image or something.
It would be great to have some justification in the PR description.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a good idea isn't it a good idea to extend the root disk at all at some point? Because we are always doing it like in the minimal.
Yeah. Everybody's always angry about the amount of space it takes. Although, is that true?
It doesn't take the space. It only takes the space when it's...
But you pay for it. You pay for that space.
Is it?
I thought so, but...
I'm kind of curious about that. I know we learned recently that vSphere doesn't. vSphere uses these linked clones. So like every clone of a stem cell you make is basically using the exact same disk, and it just does copy on write or something. And then the IaaS is like I don't know. Who pays when I start up an AMI that's of a particular size? Do I have to pay for the storage for that? Or is it just like doesn't matter? Somebody should look into this.
I don't think it's the AMI disk where you pay. I think it's the VM disk that's created where you actually pay for the space, right? The AMI is just
right. So when you create a VM from an AMI, it's got to create a local disk.
Yeah,
and that has to be size big enough to hold it.
And that's currently 3 gigabytes. I think we opted when we were using with Jammy, and I think with the newer stem cells, it's probably because we were always taking the minimal approach. So it was always like, okay, yeah, we maybe have like 200 MB left on the root disk, and then
yeah.
But it's all like I'm still confused on this one, right? Because you should be using an ephemeral disk, right? And Bosch packages end up on the ephemeral disk.
They
So
should be
why?
there, but the kernel drivers and stuff, kernel modules and stuff like are very so long spent many weeks creating a bunch of crazy symlinks to try to get it stuff in the right spot and like pulling stuff out to like try to get as much off the root disk as possible. But a lot of this stuff just installs directly onto the root disk because it's like in var lib and whatnot, or just lib. It is a very unfortunate world. I was really upset when I was like, what about symlinks as a like straw man terrible idea? Is like, I've been trying that. I'm like, oh no, you've gone down a terrible path.
But yeah, still I don't like I would want to know like the technical reason why that doesn't work, right? Like because at some point it should work, right? Like there's no like with Symlinks, you should in the end be able to do it. It's just like horrible and maybe horrible to maintain.
Yeah, I think he did get it working, but there was like 200 megs left on the root disk or something at that point. And he was like, this feels like it's going to break at some point because stuff on the root disk just gets bigger, like in the base OS or something. So he didn't feel like it was very sustainable, especially the amount of nonsense he was having to maintain with the symlinks. But might be an argument for just increasing the root disk, but I don't know how much would have to increase.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's why we need a bit of context here.
Yeah.
Justification.
All right. That's it for the PRs. Issues. Let's see. Today's the 21st, so there's and IaaS infrastructure. I'm not sure that's true. Is that ever going to cause a problem if we do use IaaS specific kernels? Like, will compiled releases not be happy? Are you talking Des Ruben because you're muted?
Yes. We're not using IaaS specific kernels, right?
We're not, but like, is this like another consideration if we ever do move to them? Is like, are compiled packages just not going to work anymore? Or we just don't know, I guess.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Concern.
All right. So he's still looking for help here. I don't know what we want to say. Ruben will follow up on it. is on the
Yes.
thread.
We can
Yeah.
say that Redonius generic, but maybe they have some Redonius YA specific. Maybe they have some YA specific. I was
Yeah. Could be a misunderstanding of like how
all
compiled
cool
releases
with-
work too.
Yeah.
I'll follow up. I had it as one of my to-dos.
Ugh.
No,
This guy's
it was
complaining
me.
again?
I already fixed it. It was just for me.
All right.
I'm building the APT repository, and for some reason the CredUp CLI is being put in. They put in their GitHub release. They put the CredUp CLI in a tarball, and I don't know
Oh.
why. I asked why.
Right. What is this
We
repo?
can close this already because I fixed it.
Yeah, someone went rogue and wanted to, like, someone is using Linux for some reason and wants like a better user experience.
Got it.
It's one of those people
It's easier for everyone.
using Linux. Yes. I want Nix packages.
Who is not using Linux yet? It's baffling me.
I mean, on Linux, I couldn't do this great thing where I can show you all of the great issues that we have.
Wow.
Oh, it's an amazing time to be alive. Look over here for funsies. MySQL release deployment. Yeah, no, none of that's us.
Is anyone looking at this from this group?
Not from the people in this Zoom call, at least. Technically, people in the group.
Yeah. And I mean, the UAA and CredUp folks have started their own call.
But MySQL?
I don't know.
All right. And then we have another agenda item.
Yes. Yeah, that's a discussion.
So
If
this
like,
was
go ahead.
yeah, the Canonical they stated that they will not provide. They don't want to provide generic FIPS themselves to their customers, so they will go with a specific one. And the question is, how we should proceed in upstream. Should we validate on the generic one?
I think we had that discussion and we should stay on the generic one. I think the ask was more around like, would we accept a PR that makes it like configurable, right? So that they can maybe like for their internal builds use the upstream Bosch Linux stem cell builder, just set like, for example, an environment variable to override the package or something. I don't know, whatever. Like if we are open to something like that. I think that's what the discussion is about. And I think like the benefit of having them be on the upstream stem cell builders that they potentially can contribute more back, right? Like they will be more watching what we are doing. So that I see as a benefit. I like closer collaboration with Canonical because we're consuming so much of their packages. So if we have other issues, we could collaborate as well.
Yeah, this is the one part of the question, but the other part is what we've been discussing regarding generic validation. How reliable is our upstream validation? Because we will validate on generic, and vendors will use will get a ER specific FIPS stem cell.
So within VMware, we're using the generic stem cell, generic kernel. So we are using the one that's being used in the upstream.
But it could be the other way.
Yes.
SAP could be using the one that's in the upstream.
Yes.
But Canonical will deliver you with the generic build one, or
No, we're not
building-
getting it from Canonical. So we're building it ourselves.
Okay.
So we have our pipeline that kicks off as soon as there's like an open source build. And that's why the reproducibility topic is more important for us, right? It's not perfect currently. It's just quickly, it triggers quickly after it goes out in upstream. So probably the diff is going to be small. So it being more reproducible is better for us. But we're producing this, we're using the same kernel as in the open source.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
And we're also using more than like just the AWS CPI or stem cell, right? So a lot of our validation, for example, is done on GCP because we have better rates there. So that's what we produce also such a stem cell to do a lot of the validation as well.
Yeah. I see. So, okay, we have to check for us what will work.
Well, we still have no idea what we're going to do. We're circling around this issue for a very long time.
I mean, I think it's a matter of like, is someone against Canonical submitting a PR to make the kernel a configurable thing so that they can like use the same upstream, like basically submit their workarounds upstream so that they will be in the stem cell builder?
No, it was already in there. The problem now is to make this, to add extra flags again to get this to build.
Yeah,
But
this is fine. Yeah, I think this is we should try to get them upstream as much as possible.
Yeah,
And
I think
the other one would be then the easier option would be like, okay, we will also build the kernel specific IISs, and then
why?
because then they only have to build it like they currently do, and you don't need to build a whole thing around the stem cell builder again to that it can accept flags.
Sorry, I'm not following.
Currently, we're using the variant stuff, right? So the VIPS variant, and that would mean that either they're going to extend this variant stuff with VIPS and then dash kernel, which is going to be really freaking weird. It doesn't accept any flags. So yeah, I think it's going to be a hassle to add this.
I would think they would just do something with an additional environment variable, similar to what we have with the like if you set that token.
Okay, you can do that. True.
Right, like that's a way to, in many places, do conditional stuff. It's that's I wouldn't want to go with like a full flag or something. I think that's probably
and we are still not because as Joseph said, like VIPs are like the that we are doing the kernel that we're just doing. Okay, let's just try this kernel specific stuff for VIPs. I don't know how many. I still don't see how many issues it's going to cause. For
I think it's
testing.
It's not about the testing. I think the biggest cost is in managing the CVs.
Yeah, but currently, so what Canonical is telling is that the CVEs is going to be solved earlier in and kernel specific than in a generic. The generic was best effort.
But it's not about like when it's fixed. It's about the fact that it's different packages with different timelines for fixing things.
Yes, but if that he also mentioned that if they fix it in the AWS kernel, and they are not going to say, oh, we're also going to do this immediately in a generic one, because they don't know if it needs to be fixed in a generic one because it uses probably different modules, and so you don't know if it will come in there, yes or no. It's a bit of a gray area. What
my problem is that someone will come ask about like this and this CV, right? Like, and then like wants to know, like that's a thing we often have, is that customers come with the request and then they say, this CV, are we affected, right? And then currently it's like, on what stem cell are you on? What version? And then soon it's going to be which version and which IaaS, because then there's going to be additional, like different timelines. That's what you get when you go with generic kernel, with IaaS specific kernels, because it's not just like if it were just the AWS IaaS specific one, right? Then VIPS is using AWS and just that one kernel, but we already have multiple VIPs themselves for different IaaSs. So it's not just the AWS one.
Okay, so they are going to let's stop this discussion. So they are just going to add a PR.
Yeah, and I would be okay with that if it's something with a bit dirty with environment variables, like not, I don't know. It shouldn't be too big of a refactoring.
If we ever do IaaS specific packages, I dread the person who has to fix the release note and CV tracking stuff. Like, I don't even know. That stuff's already like maybe correct, and this is going to make it just like a nightmare, because like I don't even like the channel stuff that like checks the packages to see if it applies. Like, what package list is it looking at? Is it looking at it for one particular stem cell? Probably, I don't know. And then you gotta like see like, oh, it's fixed in this like release notes are like, oh, it's fixed, this stem cell version includes this CVE fix, and it's like, well, does it, or is it fixed for AWS and not fixed for anything else yet? So like that is shockingly probably the biggest like amount of work surrounding IaaS specific stem cells, is figuring out how to correctly communicate the information. Like, there's probably weeks of work in there.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, Canonical make a PR, and it's a step in that direction, and we'll see if it leads to anything or not. All right. Does anybody have anything else?
Nope.
All right. Last chance. All right. See you all in 2-ish weeks, probably.
New Year.
Something like that.
Happy next year. Yeah, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, see you. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
See you. Bye-bye.
Happy holidays. Enjoy. Bye-bye.